What's up everyone, I'm Dan and we are sticking with the spooky vibe for this one thanks to Ratalaker Games. For the review code, I'll be looking at Ash Pines, the Motel on the Nintendo Switch systems. On paper, Ash Pines has all the ingredients for a chilling little horror experience, a retro-inspired top-down visual style, an isolated setting deep in the woods, a slow-burning mystery, and the promise of something sinister lurking just out of sight. The story begins as you arrive at the secluded Ash Pines Motel, a rundown lodge buried among whispering pine trees. From the moment you step inside, something feels off. Instead of a warm welcome, you're greeted by a note at the front desk. You head to your room, ready to settle for the night, but things quickly spiral. Awakened by a blood-curdling scream, you return to the office only to stumble across a grim scene, the motel owner's body lying on the ground, a reaper-like figure looming over it. From there, the nightmare begins. The game wastes little time establishing its hook. This figure, your pursuer for the rest of the experience, could appear at any moment. Its presence is sudden and unnerving at first. Every encounter carries a jolt of dread as it materializes out of nowhere, staring you down with a menacing image. One wrong move and you're dead, forced to restart not far from where you left off. The retro visuals do a good job setting the tone. The top-down presentation is simple but effective, evoking the look of old-school horror RPGs and pixel adventures. The limited detail somehow works in the game's favour, letting your imagination fill in the gaps of what might be hiding in the shadows. Creepy sound design and ambient effects help bolster the mood, even if the environments themselves are sparse. Unfortunately, the game doesn't take full advantage of its own atmosphere. The motel itself, the heart of the experience, feels surprisingly empty. A handful of locations are all you get to explore, and the most of the items scattered around are ordinary, offering little reward for poking into every corner. Rather than weaving environmental storytelling into the setting, the game relies too heavily on the tension of being hunted. Mechanically, Ash Pines is extremely straightforward. There aren't traditional puzzles to solve, just objects to find and deliver to their intended spots. These tasks can feel more like fetch quests and brain teasers, stripping away some of the satisfaction that comes from piecing together a mystery. The central challenge revolves around avoiding the killer. At first, their appearances are genuinely unnerving, creating a sense of paranoia as you'll never know where they'll strike. But after repeated encounters, the fear factor fades and frustration sets in. The figure simply pops in, stares you down and kills you. This repetition soon becomes more annoying than terrifying. The game does offer quick respawns, so you'll never lose much progress, but that's largely because there isn't much to lose. The motel is small, the objectives limited, and the sense of discovery shallow. Before long, you realise the frequent enemy encounters are less about raising tension and more about padding out what is ultimately a very short experience. Perhaps the most disappointing aspect of Ash Pines is just how little there is to it. The early moments set up a promising atmosphere, but by the time the game has finished its first act, you've already seen most of what it has to offer. The mystery barely has time to build before the credits roll. Ash Pines the Motel starts strong with eerie visuals, a compelling setup, and a haunting pursuer, yet it falters under the weight of its own limitations, a lack of meaningful exploration, shallow gameplay, and repetition that drains away the fear. The idea is there, a gripping, atmospheric horror game, a retro slice of dread set against the backdrop of an isolated roadside motel, but it doesn't quite get there in the end. For hardcore horror fans hungry for a short, unsettling distraction, there are moments of tension worth experiencing, but for most players, checking into Ash Pines will likely feel less like a vacation into terror and more like a brief, underwhelming detour. Ash Pines the Motel is out now on the Nintendo eShop, priced at $4.99 in the UK and US. Thanks to you all for watching, hope you enjoyed the review. Let me know if you've played this one in the comments below, and until next time.